Welcome back to info. Today, guys, we are going to be reacting to shout out to Tyler Fries for doing this video, ranking every mythic melee weapon in Fortnite history. Let's watch it.
In this video, I'm going to rank every single mythic melee weapon in Fortnite history from worst to best. Several months ago, I made a video about ranking every single melee weapon, and I just got a comment the other day that said to rank every single mythic melee weapon. I thought that was a great idea, so thank you for commenting that. And that's exactly what we're going to do today, guys. And I only have one caveat here in the beginning of this video. There will be no Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet. It was technically an LTM, more like a limited time mashup. You know, just too much gray line there, so I'm leaving it out of this list. Everything else, though, if it is a mythic and you can also melee with it, it will be on this list. And if you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave it a like. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on our way to 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, subscribe right now, guys.
Be sure to use code TyFries in the Fortnite item shop as always. And yep, let's get right into this.
Let's
at
go.
number 13 in dead last is the Amband Sniper Rifle. And yes, while at its core it is a sniper rifle, it does have a melee ability that a lot of people actually tend to forget about. But, you know, that's for a good reason. It is absolutely horrible as a melee weapon.
Yeah, it kind of was. Not
using this thing as a melee weapon.
I tried it myself, but it like kind of went. Thank God.
But I think a little bit more of a controversial opinion at number 12 is the Sideways Scythe.
Now, what? Everyone, what? What? Like, bro.
A lot of people seem to really like this melee weapon, and a lot of people actually forget that you would get siphon from killing people using this. So you're thinking, you know, you get siphon from it. It's a melee weapon, so you're obviously going to be taking a lot of damage, so that's good. So what's wrong here, right? The melee actual attack itself is so slow. Like, the combo from one attack to another is just, I mean, the guy just, like, loads up this massive scythe, and it takes forever to swing and hit. Now, I will say, like, you do get a tad bit of mobility here, but there are so many items on this list where you get great mobility and you get great quick attacks that do a lot of damage, and so naturally the Sideways Scythe just kind of falls to the bottom, but I do foresee this being a controversial pick. At my number 11 spot is the Howler Claws. This was introduced in Chapter 3 as part of the Fort Nightmares event that chapter, and you know, it's really nothing to write home about. I will say the one super unique thing about the Howler Claws that separates it from basically every other melee weapon is you do get the reveal ability where, you know, your character will almost like, you know, turn into a werewolf basically and howl and then reveal everybody around you. That is very good and extremely helpful when you're using a melee weapon. But to be quite honest with you guys, the Howler Claws, like, the damage is just not there. And you'll see in the gameplay, like, you can get somebody up to, you know, 150, 160 damage, but you just won't be able to finish them off at the end. And yeah, you know, that's not really good. Moving on to number 10, I've got the Wolverine Claws from Chapter 2, Season 4, and it seems like every single time I talk about the Wolverine Claws in a video, I kind of forget that you actually could regain health while using them, which is obviously a really good and unique ability. You also get decent mobility. I'm not going to say great mobility or even good mobility. It's decent, but it's at the trade-off of really solid damage. Look, like, I hate to say this, and honestly, some of you guys always think it's controversial that I kind of factor in how hard it was to actually get the item into its ranking, and that's the problem with Wolverine's Claws. It's just so difficult to get. I mean, Wolverine just eats bullets. Like, I don't know that I'll show it in the gameplay because it just takes too long to show him eating like 700 damage. I'm telling you guys, he was so hard to kill, and if you didn't finish him in like 5 seconds, he would just revive himself and you'd have to do it all over again. I hate that you had to do that to get these claws, but if you went through the whole process of doing that, you know, I guess you were decently rewarded.
I can
with
see
this
in the
item.
gameplay.
Sticking around in Chapter 2, Season 4 at my number 9 spot, I've got...
Are we not talking about the fact that this guy got a gold pump? Bro, like, come on.
She-Hulk's Fist, and I will say this is at the point in the list where the items start to become, you know, considerably better. Melee weapons that I would say, you know, you see them on the ground, I would definitely take them to, you know, do the 40, 50, 60 damage to finish off an opponent. I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure the combination of 3 different attacks from She-Hulk's Fist can actually do 200 damage to somebody, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, the fact that you can just eviscerate 200 health from somebody in like 2 or 3 seconds. Honestly, I would probably go out on a limb and say that She-Hulk's Fists are one of the more underrated melee melee items we've ever seen. I really don't have that many complaints with She-Hulk's fist. I just wish there was better mobility with it. But again, this was at a time in Fortnite when melee items just didn't have crazy mobility. But you will see higher on this list that has changed a ton in just, a couple of years in Fortnite. At number 8 is the most recent entry onto this list from Chapter 6, Season 1. It is the Typhoon Blade. And again, I think this is another item that's going to cause...
He didn't say we couldn't count the Infinity Blade. I'm gonna bet you guys. Top 3 spot, Infinity Blade.
They stir in the comment section. I always see some people that talk about how much they love this and how good this item is when it's used in the right way. And then the other half of people, the side that I am on, will say the Typhoon Blade is really, really underwhelming. And just to tell Epic Games to stop making samurai swords because nothing is ever going to be as good as the kinetic blade. Look, like I do see where the vision is here with the Typhoon Blade, and you will see in the gameplay, you can definitely outplay players if you are a really good player with this weapon. Like, if you know how to use it effectively, you can put in some serious work with the Typhoon.
I swear to God, if you just boom, 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 you're invincible. Like, you shoot anywhere. If you're like right in front of them, you'll just dodge that thing.
Blade. And I'm just going to say one thing. If you get into somebody's box with the Typhoon Blade, you trap them in a corner, you are going to eviscerate them. Like, my thing is, I just can't help but feel so underwhelmed by the Typhoon Blade. Like I said earlier, nothing is going to be better in terms of samurai swords than the kinetic blade will be. It's really just that simple in my mind. Anyways, moving on to number 7, we've got lightsabers. And I'll be honest with you guys, I did not feel like putting every single Chapter 4 lightsaber on this list. There were a ton. And so I just took the Chapter 4 lightsabers, the regular lightsabers, put them all in this spot together as just the overall umbrella of lightsabers. The regular lightsabers in Chapter 2 are pretty strong. I mean, the fact that you can stop bullets is so good for a melee item. I don't think, to my knowledge, any other item on this list can do that, and that protects you a ton of the time, because one of the most risky things about using a melee weapon is, getting caught in the open and not really being able to do anything about it. You also have some really side jumps, so you actually are a really difficult target to hit when using these lightsabers, and they got a whole lot better in Chapter 4 when you could start, picking up pieces of the ground and throwing it at people and doing all this crazy stuff. Lightsabers in general are a super cool Fortnite item, and guys, let me know if you want me to rank every single Star Wars item, because I think that would be a great idea, and if there's enough love in the comment section for that video idea, I'll do it for you guys. At number 6, I've got the TMNT Mythics from Chapter 5. Now, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mythics all do the same thing. They function identically. They are all
so
just,
technically,
different
they're the
in
same
the way
thing,
that
so
they
you
look,
put them
but
all
the way
together.
they function is exactly the same, so it makes sense to keep them all in one spot. You can very clearly tell where the inspiration for these items came from. It very clearly came from the kinetic blade. You get 3 charges, it's a little dash effect, and you go flying up in the air. Again, this is another one of those items, right, where if you get caught in a box with somebody who is using them, you are absolutely done for. The fact that you get such great mobility, some of the best mobility ever for a melee weapon, you can just follow people wherever.
Yeah, but wasn't the... Oh, wait. So I guess... Wasn't the... They were if you hit somebody, they wouldn't immediately hit him. You could just, run, and they would not catch up to you. They could not hit you.
You can use them as a utility item, go flying in the air, maybe switch to your shotgun and thunder pump somebody. I really don't have a lot bad to say about the TMNT Mythics. My only problem is Thorn's Vampiric Blade just does everything better. So, realistically, how much higher could I put these items? I really just love how quick everything is, how quick you can go from dash to melee to chain the melee attacks together. And honestly, these are some really, really good melee options. Some of the best we've ever seen in Fortnite history. At number 5, I have ODM gear. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you, this is probably the hottest take I've made in a Fortnite video in quite a long time. Anytime ODM gear is on a list, it is guaranteed within the top 3. This is one of my favorite Fortnite items of all time, and honestly, I would go on record and say this is one of the Fortnite community's favorite items ever. It's just so beloved by the community.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man is better.
This is probably the hottest take I've made in a Fortnite video in quite a long time. Anytime ODM gear is on a list, it is guaranteed within the beloved by the community. So you might be saying, at the end of the day, this whole video is about the melee aspect. Of course, I do factor in mobility, and of course, ODM gear shines in that regard. But in terms of its melee ability, I actually think the ODM gear is kind of weak. It just functions kind of weird. It's really clunky. You have to be kind of swinging around, and then you kind of lock onto them, and you go flying towards them. You tap them once, and your character goes flying flying backwards. You really can't chain the attacks together too fast. You leave yourself really, really vulnerable. And of course, this item makes up for its lack of, melee power with how good the mobility is. I totally get that. But as a, pure melee item, the ODM gear isn't really anything special in my opinion. It is a great item, but guys, I think there are 4 mythic melee weapons that are better. At that number 4 spot is going to be Megalodon's Nitro Fist from Chapter 5, Season 3. And if I was talking about the pre-nerfed Nitro Fist, the ones on launch, this could potentially be the number 1 spot. Just so absolutely broken. I know it was more of like a nitro problem in general, but there was no cooldown at all, so you were just slamming your fist over and over and over again. There was no cooldown, no slowdown, and you could just bully yourself into anybody's box.
Yeah, that was like so weird.
I remember vividly, like it's like over and over and over again. There was no cooldown, no slowdown, and you could
that was so
broken.
You could agree in
I
comments.
remember vividly, like it's like scarred into my brain, the launch of Chapter 5, Season 3. I mean, there were so many things broken in that season, but especially the Nitro Fist were just off the charts, overpowered. Now, it's not so much like that, but still, you obviously have
the Nitro Fists were OP. Sorry guys, we got somebody joining.
Especially the Nitro Fist were just off the charts, overpowered. Now, it's not so much like that, but still, you obviously have a really solid melee weapon.
So OP.
Or should I say, on your hand.
It's first spot. I bet
the excels in every single aspect. It's everything you would want in a melee weapon. Again, you're going to see it with the next 3 coming up ahead of it. They all do the same in your hands. You guys see what I did there? It just excels in every single aspect. It's everything you would want in a melee weapon. Again,
the Nitro Fists were like OP. I remember like winning the game by only using Nitro
Fists. They have a ton of damage, very quick abilities, and very quick mobility, so that it is hard to hit you. Again, like honestly, in terms
I'm sorry, I had to pause there.
For me to find something about the Nitro Fist to complain about. But I gotta be honest with you, I think Thorn's Vampiric Blade at the number 3 spot is better. So,
wait, we still haven't gotten to the Infinity
Blade.
Blade.
For a Fortnite weapon. If you guys don't know how it works, every time that you slash, you hit somebody with this item, you essentially steal their health. You siphon their health and shield into yours. How cool is that? Obviously, it's playing into the idea of it being a vampire item. Obviously, you're not stealing all of it. You're not stealing, 60, 70 damage. You steal, I believe it was 20% of the damage you do is siphon.
Every other YouTuber we saw in this video, when they were doing that only melee weapon challenge, they had other weapons. This guy had
into health or shield, so the dash will siphon 12, and then the slash attack will siphon 14 in total. That is 7 per swing, and that's a really cool ability. Now, realistically, how many people were using the Mythic Kinetic Blade for its melee ability? I'm not really sure. For me, I was using it strictly as a mobility item because it is one of the best mobility items of all time. But you can't understate, how cool that ability is and how good it is. I mean, you're doing 70 damage. You've heard me blaze the Kinetic Blade all throughout this video, so, it shouldn't be a surprise to you guys that it is so high up on this list. At my number 2 spot is going to be another Chapter 4 item. It is the
I agree.
And I'm so excited to finally talk about the Shockwave Hammer. I haven't talked about this
especially
weapon.
If you
it feels like months, honestly, in a video. For some reason, it just never comes up.
If you dropped it at the exact time you landed and then picked it up, you would cancel the delay and absolutely demolish somebody.
It is fun. It is overpowered. It is cool looking. It sounds cool. Like, everything about it is just so cool. Now, I will say, like, before I was recording this video, I was surfing the web for Mythic Shockwave Hammer
it's Infinity Blade.
Just wasn't any that I was happy with. So you're going to be watching these replays use all just regular purple Shockwave Hammers. Now, of course, they function identically to the Mythic version. Just the Mythic version has 5 dashes, I believe it was, whereas the purple version has 3. But damage-wise, everything there are exactly the same. The exploit with the Shockwave Hammer, where you could, like, drop it out of your inventory, damage-wise, everything there are exactly the same. The exploit with the Shockwave Hammer, where you could, like, drop it out of your inventory, I actually think you'll see replays in the video, do that, where instead of getting that super long animation where you swing and you're stuck in the ground, you can actually pull it out of your inventory and it will totally cancel that out, which made the Shockwave Hammer even more broken than it was supposed to be. This is one of the most fun items in Fortnite history, and I beg at some point, I know it's back in Reload, but in public matches, can we please get the Shockwave Hammer back? Chapter 4 Season 1 was a fever dream, and that was mainly due to this weapon. But it doesn't come anywhere close.
Infinity Blade first, like, we already knew it. I counted it, of course.
It is the Infinity Blade. Yes, does it feel a little little cheesy to add it on this list. You know, I guess so, but it was
Yeah,
in
before
your
the
public
Nerf version,
Fortnite
they're
lobbies
talking
for
about
a
before,
couple
like
of
the
weeks.
original.
It is a mythic.
The
It
original
is a
would be
melee weapon.
absolutely
So by all
demolishing.
those standards, it deserves to be on this list, and it blows everything else out of the water, guys. Like, remember, like, there was a point where we were ranking the Amban sniper rifle's melee ability, and now here we are ranking the Infinity Blade. It's kind of funny if you think about it. I don't even need to explain myself. I'm really not going to go on a tangent about how
A
brokenly
sword.
stupid,
Can you
overpowered
believe
this
a
was,
sword
why they put this in
could
the game
defeat-
before a $2 million Fortnite tournament. Just so ridiculous. Tore up
Yeah,
that
like,
whole
a sword
tournament,
could
ruined it
defeat
for everybody.
10
And the gameplay
people.
will just show. I mean, if you get your hands on this thing,
That's-
you are essentially gifted a win. I don't know that there's ever been an item this overpowered in a public Fortnite match. And to be
Yeah,
honest
like,
with you, there
no.
probably
Now,
never
if it
will
was
be.
here,
I'm assuming you
people
guys
would
watching
kill
this video
you,
knew it would be
but
at the number
back
one pick.
then,
And so,
this
yeah,
was
here it is,
so
number
OP.
one, the best mythic melee weapon of all time. It is the Infinity Blade. All right, guys, well, I really hope you enjoyed that video.
Please comment if you want to see me react to any more videos, and see you guys in the next one, and peace.